Okay, so welcome back, guys. Welcome back to today's lesson. Today's lesson, we are going to be talking about the live load. So I'll just highlight the whole slab again, then go to assign, shell load, uniform, and change these to live. So this is a school. So we are going to look for the load in Eurocode for live. So select your Eurocode and let's look for the live loads. Okay, so we have what we call impose load on building. In Eurocode, we call it variable action, while dead load is permanent action. So we look for it. So we have loading arrangements for floors, for beams, and for roofs. So let's scroll down and it gives us a list of loads. So for example, now for category A, we have areas for domestic and residential activities. So this is the example: residential buildings, house, bedrooms, and cities. And we have B, category B, office area. So we all know what office area is. Category C, area where people may congregate, with exception for areas defined A and B and D. So we know that people congregate in this place, people congregate in this place, and people congregate in category D, but we need to choose for C. So C, we have C1, areas with table, e.g. schools, cafes, restaurant, and dining. So we know we are going to work with C1, but let's check others. C2, areas with fixed seats, areas like church, just all these lecture halls, but this is a secondary school, so we are going to neglect these lecture halls. Okay, so we can see C3, areas without obstacle for moving people, e.g. museum, exhibition rooms, and all this. So ours is not in this place. So C4, we don't have a gym. And C5, areas susceptible to large crowd. Okay, so we don't have this. So what we are going to do now is we are going to look for C1. So our category is C1. So Eurocode is going to give us a variable. So let's come to category, that is table 6.2, and look for category. So we have category C1, and it has given us a QK, that is the variable action of 2 to 3 kilonewton per meter square, and a point load of 3 to 4 kilonewton per meter kilonewton, a point load of 3 to 4 kilonewton. So what we are going to do is we are going to use our national annex to select. So I just come here and select the national annex, the UK national annex. So I have this for EC11. So I'll just look for my C1, which we are in category 1. So all I do is look for my C1. So it has given you some variables here at this point, which you need to read. So you can see areas where people make so areas with tables. So we know this is our school, and we are okay with that. So you can also see C11 and all others. So this is what you select, whichever one you want. So let's go down to C1 now. There's a table here, C1, and the UK national annex has given us a value to use along this side. So let's check it. Okay, sorry, that's given us a value of 2. So we have C11 and C12. So let's see what C11 is. Public, institutional, communal dining room, lounge, cafe, and restaurants. So reading rooms we look, and C13 is classrooms. So let's see which one we fall under. So we fall under C13, which is classroom, and C13 is greater than C11 and C12. So we can just use this C13 all through for our live load. Okay, so I can go back to ETABS. So after selecting this live load, I'm going to choose a value of 3. So apply. Okay, so the next thing we are going to be doing is imposed load, that is partition load on our sections. Because on the slabs we are going to have partitions like block walls to separate one class from the other, or in case if the school decides to renovate and place a block wall, probably decide to split this class into 2, so which we didn't cater for. So what we do is go back to our Eurocode and we check for partitions. Okay, so let's see 8, this plus 8. So provided that the floor allows for lateral distribution of load, the self weight of the movable partition may be taken into account by uniformly distributed load QK. So you can see that on our partition, our partition is going to be under the variable load, so which should be added for to the imposed load. So we can see this clause. We are always adding our variable load to the, you're always adding your partitions to the variable load. So this can be taken from table 6.2. This is defined as the uniformly distributed load and is dependent on the self-weight of the partition. So for movable partitions with self-weight less than 1 kilonewton per meter, use a value of 0.5 kilonewton. So, and also movable partition with self-weight greater than 1 and less than 2, we use a value of 0.8. But for movable partition greater than 2 and less than 3 kilonewton per meter, so we use a value of 1.2. So heavier partition should be considered in the design, taking account of the location and that. So for us, since we don't want to create different line load, so what we are going to do is we are going to use this heavy partition of 1.2. So we can also decide to use a very heavy partition, but in this case we don't know the location, so it will be difficult for us to model something. So we are going to be using 1.2 for our partition. So I'll go back to ETABS, highlight my slab, go to aside, shell load, uniform, then under live I'm going to add to existing. So we have a value of 1.2 kilonewton per meter for the live load. Click it, apply. So select a slab, right click on it, choose load. Under live load you can see it's 3 plus 1.2, which is 4.2. So that is total live load on our slab. So thank you for watching today's video. If you have any question, you can drop it in the comment section. Thank you very much.